Hello, and welcome to Dave's Delights. And as always, I'm Dave, and it's a delight to have you here today. Now, the seasons are starting to change. So when you start getting into that fall, cooler weather, cooler evenings, it's getting darker earlier, that's when I start thinking about more like crock or stovetop style comfort foods. And today we're doing one that is one of my all-time favorites, going back all the way from grade school, where we used to eat steam trays of this stuff. And it's called American Chop Suey. Now, if you're from outside of New England, you could also hear it called goulash, but it's not Hungarian goulash. It's very American, and it's delicious. There's nothing I love more. I actually held the kitchen lady's feet over the fire when I was graduating from that school to try to have them give me the recipe. And this is slightly different because I changed one item because they chose a particular kind of world famous tomato soup that would be not to everybody's taste. So this will be more generalized, but you could probably figure out what tomato soup I might be talking about. You could sub that for the tomato sauce if you want to have that childhood feel. Anyhow, so we're going to be doing all this cooking on the cook stove, so using my Dutch oven. Now you can use a Dutch oven or you can use a large pot. I just happen to have these Dutch ovens and I love them, so I'm going to use it. Everything's going to happen over there, so I'm going to introduce all the ingredients and then we'll cut over to the actual work. All right, so first off, you have a pound and a half of ground beef. You want to have it 85, maybe 90% lean. You don't want to have all this going away in fat, because we are going to have to drain it after we brown this. 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. That's a blend which you can get in your grocery store. 2 teaspoons of seasoned salt. I'm using one that's probably, it smells like it's got garlic powder in it too, which is funny because we're going to also have garlic powder. But seasoned salts, there's all kinds of varieties. If you want a hotter one, you can use a spicy one, but it's your pick. A half teaspoon of garlic powder. 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now, that's a lot less than one of those little jars that you see at the store. So if you're doing small things like this, I like having a tube of double concentrated tomato paste where I can squeeze out just as much as I need and then put the lid back on, and it goes in the fridge and it lasts a long time. So this is 3 tablespoons of that. We have 1 diced onion. Now this happens to be a red onion, but I diced them pretty fine, as you can see. 1 green pepper, also diced. And 1 celery rib, or 1 stalk of celery that's diced fine. Now to dice the celery, I take the stalk, cut the butt end off of it, and then I'll cut it in half, then I'll cut it in half again, then I'll dice it. That's what works best for me. I still have all my fingers, so I must be doing it somewhat right. Let's see, I've got 4 cloves of garlic minced. Now this is, with this kind of a dish, I'm using the pre-made, the pre-minced that I've got in a jar in my fridge, but I also have fresh garlic. If you want to take your time, you can certainly do that. 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. You can smell it from here. And then we have 1 can of diced tomatoes, undrained. We need the liquid. 1 can of tomato sauce. The diced tomatoes are 15.5 ounces. This tomato sauce is 16 ounces. 2.5 cups of beef broth. And you can use chicken's broth too. Your choice. I'm going beef to beef. And then 2 cups of elbow macaroni. Now, something else you can do as an option, but as we know, I'm not much of a cheese eater, is we can add shredded cheddar cheese at the end, which you can either stir into it to let it cook through while you're covering it at the end, or you can put it on as a topping. So since my wife likes cheese, we'll play with that as we're doing our finishing. All right, so all our ingredients are here. I'm going to get my oven hot and my stove hot and ready to go, and we'll see you over at the cooktop. Okay, we're back, and that stovetop is getting nice and hot. So what I got to do is get my meat over here, and I'm going to put just 1 little drizzle of oil in so that my meat doesn't stick to the bottom of this. It's not even like a teaspoon, just a little drizzle. So when I start putting the meat in to let it brown, it has something to work with just for those first couple of seconds. And you don't want to crowd the pan while you're doing this. So you may have to pull some of this off and then put it back at the end once everything's brown. Because we have 1.5 pounds, and that's a decent amount of meat. So I'm just going to get this loaded up. Remember, you know what I'm going to say about why I'm doing a little something here. Just to make sure you wash your hands at least every time you're touching raw meat, if you're doing nothing else here. All right. So at the beginning, doing less is more. But once you see stuff start to brown, you can move it around and break it up. But this is going to take a little while. So I'm going to finish browning this meat, and I will see you guys back once the meat is brown and ready to go. All right, as you can see, everything is browned up and all the meat's there, and I have drained it, so there's very, very little grease left. And quite frankly, this beef was really lean. I think this was closer to 90%. I got this meat packaged and mailed to me as part of a meat delivery from a service that is not sponsoring me, so they don't get mentioned today, but I do enjoy their meats. But I do get this stuff from my local butcher as well. I just happen to have this on me, and it is really nice beef too, just kind of lean. Anyhow, so the next thing we got to do is we got to add the seasonings. It's been about 8 minutes, and this is fully browned. So we're going to put in the garlic powder, the seasoned salt, and the Italian seasoning. And let's stir that up really, really well here. Get that all incorporated. And then I've got to add the tomato paste. See the tomato paste? In it goes. And we're going to stir this for just a couple of seconds, like maybe a minute at the most. We want to get it together. And then it's time to add the Worcestershire sauce. In it goes. And I got a little bit of tomato paste left here. Let's get all that out. There we go. Oh, and by the way, that thing's hot. And I need to add the diced tomatoes and the garlic. So we're going to do the garlic first. And here comes... I'm sorry, I actually got to do the vegetables before I do the tomatoes. Got that backwards in my mind. I like doing the dry goods because they're going to need a little bit more time to soften. It's probably going to take 3 or 4 minutes, and the garlic's in there too. There's the celery, there's the onions, and there's the green pepper. Give them a stir. And these are going to start sweating and give off their water pretty quickly because I've got it on medium-high heat right now. But this is going to take about 4 minutes. So I'm going to give a quick pause, and I'll get back to you once this is ready. All right, it's been about 4 minutes, and everything has started to soften up, and you can see the difference. And now we got to add the wet ingredients. We're going to put in the tomato sauce. And we'll stir that to combine. There we go. And now in goes the can of diced tomatoes. And the chicken, I'm sorry, not the chicken stock, the beef stock. But you can use chicken if you like. And now I got to get this back up to high heat because we're trying to bring this to a boil. And in goes the 2 cups of macaroni. And you got to stir this all together so it's all well combined. And then the magic's going to start happening once we get it to a boil. It makes the craziest noise when this macaroni is still hard. All right, that is combined nicely, and that is all the ingredients until the final prep. So we need to get this to a gentle boil, which is going to take me, I don't know, a couple minutes. We'll see how quick it goes because it was already pretty hot. I will get back to you as soon as we are back to cooking for the next step. So as you can see, we are now having a little bit of boiling action going along the edges. So this is now ready for us to cover. We're going to cut it back to medium heat, like medium-low, so that it's going to simmer. And we're going to cook it for 4 minutes with the lid on. Once the, let me let my OCD work there. There we go. So once 4 minutes have elapsed, we will take the cover off and give it a good stir, and we go from there. It's been 4 minutes, and now it's time to have a look. We're going to keep it on low heat now because it's been 4 minutes of it simmering, and we have to take a rubber spatula because this macaroni has a tendency to want to stick to the bottom of the pan. So we got to get under there and get it all off the bottom and recombined back into the middle. And this macaroni is just absorbing all the liquid that's in this container. So that's going to be not just like water and then put sauce on it. The sauce is going to be in it, which is one of the key features of why this tastes so good. So now that that's been stirred up, we have to partially cover it. And we give it another 4 minutes. So once this is done, then we're on to the next stage, which is basically just getting this pasta fully moisture absorbed. And then we're ready to plate. So I will see you back once we're on to the final step. 4 minutes has elapsed, and we are down to the last stir. We've got to take the rubber spatula again. You see, that macaroni is starting to do its thing now. Give it a big stir up. Get it all off the bottom. And now we got to give it another 2 or 3 minutes. Just however long it takes for this macaroni to absorb what's left in this in this Dutch oven. So keep it at low so it's a nice little simmer like this, and we will go until when I taste one of the pieces of macaroni, it's going to feel done. And I can see just by looking at it right now that they are not quite ready yet, although they're getting there. So 3 minutes. It's going to take forever for me, but it's going to be just an eye blink for you. Time is up. Everything's looking good. The noodles are soft, so this macaroni is ready. And you can just put a lid back on this until it is dinner time, and it's ready to go just like that. But let's talk about our cheese-loving friends. So if you got people like me who don't eat cheese, and then people who do eat cheese like my wife, so you don't want to have it all in the pot here, what you do is you take a ramekin. I got a bunch of these things around different sizes. This is about a good one-person portion. And I'm going to fill that ramekin with a portion, well, maybe a little bit more because I love my wife that much, with a portion. And then I took some sharp Vermont cheddar. Alexa, stop timer. I took some sharp Vermont cheddar, which I shredded, and I'm now going to pop that on top. Get all of that in there. And then this is going to go under the broiler in the oven for just long enough to melt this cheese and maybe give it a little bit of browning and bubbling up at the top. And then this will be ready, and I can actually just put this whole ramekin on a plate and serve. So I will see you when this is done for service. Okay, this was a lot of fun, and man, it sure brings back memories for me of basically every couple of weeks throughout my entire school youth having this, and oh my goodness, did we eat a lot of it. So time for final preparation, basically plating. So I've got my finished plate. I'm going to have a couple of slices of crusty bread and a nice salad. So I need my bare hands to pick up this hot ramekin. Now remember, when you're giving this to your guests, it's hot. So you put it on the plate and you remind them that it's hot so they can eat it right out of the ramekin. And you have a look, it has melted really well, and my wife can stir it up and have it all through. And I could always shred some more for her if she wants. That goes on the plate. We pull off, I no longer need my bare hands. Pull off the lid of our salad. And of course, because I'm me, a little basil leaf to finish off the meal. And ta-da, I hope you enjoy this. This is American Chop Suey, just like I had when I was growing up. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. Please try this dish. Let me know what you think. Give me suggestions for other things to do. And please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.